Hello there, welcome to another talk, and today's talk, podcast meditation, is called Talk on one of my energy spiritual awakenings. I've had many spiritual awakenings. I'm the only family member in this apparent family that has had a spiritual awakening. And that's because I had enough one day. I sat down one day and had enough of everything, and then it manifested this awakening. And 10 years ago that happened, and ever since then I've had all these different spiritual awakenings. And a new spiritual awakening lasts about 1 or 2 days, sometimes it can be a day, 2 days. But this talk is about an energy spiritual awakening. I've had quite a lot of them as well. But this particular one is when I believe what I was getting shown is what it's like to be in the spirit world. I had one of this, since then I've came across videos on YouTube of mediums talking about how that in the spirit world, heaven, that you're more energetic. So if you lose a leg, you can repair it, you can replace it. And anyway, in this particular energy spiritual awakening I had, I was able to manifest pretty much any energy I wanted, any vibrational frequency I wanted. It was like being in a drugstore or something. You just manifest any frequency you wanted. And in this particular awakening, I believe I was getting shown through an example of this type of awakening what is coming for me in the future. In terms of, when we transition, when we leave this reality and transition into, higher levels of consciousness, spirit world, afterlife. That's what lots of mediums say, that basically you don't need like food for energy as much because you're more energetic. That's why spirits that have lost body parts, they can repair them themselves through energy. And this was one of my awakenings. I was able to manifest anything just thinking about it. Thought was enough. It was like the power of thought. And in this spiritual awakening path in general, I've had all these different awakenings. When I first had the spiritual awakening, I've mentioned that I had enough of everything, and then everything changed. Then I went through a rebirthing where I was getting thought forms coming into me. I'd never had that before, about what was going on. I was taken to the womb. Rebirth. It was a rebirthing process. It lasted for 2 weeks. And that experience was great as well, and that was very energetic. And basically back to then, and I was getting information downloads telling me that was what was going on. Then again, it wasn't voices, it was thought. It was thoughts, but I knew it wasn't my thoughts. I knew that this was coming from something higher. And then after that, in that 2 weeks, it was like peaking euphoria energies, right? And that lasted for 2 weeks, and after that I went on a healing journey. And that energies that I felt for that 2 weeks, it's been coming back in the last couple of years, similar energies. And that's because I've ascended and I've healed all the not all the stuff, but a lot of the stuff that blocks that energy. That energy is known as tantric energy, kundalini energy, the source of who you are. The reason when a baby comes into the world that energy gets away is because of the programming. But I'm not going to dive into that just now. But regarding this energy awakening I had, that is basically what mediums say it's like in the spirit world. You've got different levels, but you're more energetic. And so yeah, and so you can basically repair body parts and stuff, and in this period I was going through this, these energies would turn on at a certain time. It was like someone pressed a button. I think if I remember correctly, it was 20 to 12 at night, and it was like someone just pressed a switch. Right, and then it would just go on for a certain amount of time, then it would go off again, allowing me to sleep. And in that time, like I say, yeah, I would go through these periods where I would think of this energy, that energy. I mean, wow, I was like, wow. But I believe what I was getting shown is the spirit world. I believe this is what it's like. That's why I chose this picture, because if you watch the video to this particular song, it's kind of like symbolic of what I'm talking about. Spirit energy. Spirit is a more energetic version of what we're experiencing here. Here it's more physical. You see, it's more physical. But when you die and your spirit leaves, you've now went to a more energetic form, almost dreamlike. Is what you've entered into is in essence the dream worlds. You've left the body. And so that's why I believe I had this awakening, was to pass it on. And so I also understand what's going to happen to me when it's time, a long time. I'm going to be here for a long time yet, hopefully, to do this work that I'm doing. Sharing this information, this knowledge, going through the awakening. In this mass awakening that's happened on the planet. And like, before my awakening, I had depression, crazy anxiety, and all different issues. And at the age of 24, I had enough, and that's when the spiritual awakening started. I didn't know anything about this kind of stuff at the time, and then ever since then I've been going through a healing path. I'm still going through it, but I don't have crazy anxiety before, depression, suicidal thoughts, drugs, alcohol. All that's stopped. All that's over now, and that's because of the healing, but I'm still going through it. And as you go through it, the more you ascend. See, the core of who you are is actually tantric energy. The same energy that twin flames experience. It's the source of life. It's like I talk about nothingness, but within that nothing is a miracle power, and that's what I'm talking about. It's what when you die, that and your spirit transitions, that's what you've returned to. And on this awakening path we're all going through, this is the time where the planet goes through a mass spiritual awakening. You see? And when you're going through the awakening path, you realize that it's all God. It's all it's like a movie, and everyone's just characters in the movie. They're all just playing their part. And your real home would be like waking up and you would look out the window and all you would see is stars. outside. You see? That is your real home. This is just a temporary experience. And this energy awakening that I had years ago was, it was just a little way of showing me that, of showing me a little bit of the potential that we've got. And you can embody a lot of this potential in life also, and that's what the awakening is doing. It's allowing people to embody that higher power that exists in heaven, and to live a life of heaven. That's what the mass awakening is all about. And that's why you've got volunteers, people that chose to come here. People call them the chosen ones, 144,000. It's just people that chose to come on this planet and to guide humanity through the transition. And as soon as I said that, I saw 1111. I don't think that's a coincidence. But that's what the chosen ones are. People, wonder about that. That's who they are. They are spirits who are very evolved, and they're just picking up where they left off, and that's why they have these spiritual awakenings. And that's why they may feel that they've never fitted in and people don't understand them. It's because you are on a higher level to them. Someone that is in heaven compared to a human is on a much higher level. That's not a lie. There's a lot of indoctrination about false virtues, but that it's all part of the same movie. It's all part of the same thing, because we've got to have the wrongs in order to find out what's right, you see. Even the system, it's all part of the same source. Remember, good and evil are man-made. Everything is made up. You see? It's all concepts and stories. And this heaven power I'm talking about, that is the only truth. It's this power that is the governor of all life. That's why in the spirit world, heaven, they talk about the law of one, and what they're talking about is this power that is life, that you are within you. A lot of people feel threatened by the chosen ones, what people call chosen ones. And that's because those people that feel threatened, haven't awakened yet. They're not heart-based. These kind of people might try and compete or trigger or, do narcissistic stuff. Say things to trigger other people. I've known people like this. They've just got bad intentions. But if there's anyone listening to this that does stuff like that, you don't want to do that, because you're just going to create a bad reality, because what you dish out comes back. That's the way energy works. Another question you should ask yourself is, am I happy doing this? If the answer is no, then maybe you should change. Is it working what you're doing? Is it the head working, the ego mind working? No, it's not. Well, try following the heart and see what that does. Where the other way leads to, it just leads to misery. So it's about going within the heart, because the heart energy is the same vibration of heaven, where your loved ones are. So that's where you want to go. Connect with that. That's how you spiritually awaken and ascend and all that stuff I'm talking about. Infinite love is the only truth. All else is an illusion, just like what David Icke says, and I'm just going to leave it on that note. For latest updates, talks, news, research, and much more, please do visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.